And our next guest is co-sponsoring a House bill to make leaking draft Supreme Court opinions a federal crime. So let's bring in House Republican Conference Chair Elise Stefanik. Good morning to you, Congresswoman.
Good morning, Ainsley. Great to be with you.
Well, it's so good to have you on. I know that Republicans are putting a lot of pressure on Democrats to try and take a stronger stance on this type of violence or attempted violence. What's the latest on that? Are they not willing to work with the Republicans?
Well, first of all, thank God law enforcement was able to identify this criminal before this heinous act was committed. My heart goes out to the entire Kavanaugh family. And Justice Kavanaugh is also the father of 2 young children. So that's a threat not just to his life, but it's a threat to his family as well. And what's really concerning to me is you've seen both the White House and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer fan these flames, encouraging protesters who in many cases have been violent to target Supreme Court justices to try to influence the court. This is the highest court in the land. It needs to maintain its independence and should never succumb to this political pressure. And that's essentially what the left is trying to do here. So this does need to be considered a crime. It is a crime, and we need to make sure that we're holding the Democrats accountable who have encouraged this type of behavior in terms of targeting the justices.
It's actually worse than that. In the Senate, people like Democrats like Chris Coons and Senator Dick Durbin have said, yeah, we got to provide security for all the Supreme Court justices. But in the House, Nancy Pelosi is actually saying no. On what grounds is it okay to reject Secret Service for these Supreme Court justices?
It's not okay. There is absolutely no excuse not to provide that protection for all the justices. I mean, we are expecting each of them to bring their, legal backgrounds, the best legal minds in the nation, to make these independent judgments, put out these decisions on whether the laws that are passed in this country are constitutional or not. So this is a no-brainer. It should not be a partisan issue. Shame on Nancy Pelosi for turning it into a partisan issue. And look at how close this threat was. I mean, again, thank goodness, and we credit law enforcement, and I'm sure the Kavanaugh family is grateful to law enforcement, but we need to stop this encouragement of any type of targeting on any of our Supreme Court justices, and they need to absolutely have adequate security.
And, of course, all of these protests in front of the justices' homes started after the leaking of one of the early rounds of these opinions regarding Roe v. Wade. You are co-sponsoring a bill to make it illegal to leak a Supreme Court opinion before it is released. There are a lot of people who think it should be a crime. You getting any help from the Democrats on this, or do they think the way it is right now is just fine?
Well, unfortunately, I believe the leak came from a progressive-leaning clerk who wanted to, again, try to pressure the court to not make the draft decision that was circulated. The leak, any type of leak should be designated a federal crime. From my perspective, it is absolutely shredding the integrity of the court, shredding the institution of the court. And no, we're not getting help from Democrats, and we're not getting help from Nancy Pelosi. Democrats in the House, Steve, are so focused on their January 6th circus that they're not paying attention to these other really important issues related to crime in this country, but related to the radical politicization that we're seeing on the left.
Congresswoman, the January 6th committee kicks off the televised hearing tonight. It will be in prime time, and we'll be covering that here on Fox. What can we expect?
Well, we can expect a circus. The Democrats have been shameless. The fact that they are booking this on prime time tells you everything you need to know. Most of the committee business in the House starts at 10 a.m. and is through the regular working day. So they're trying to get eyeballs, and they're trying to change the narrative. They're not hosting a primetime hearing on the border crisis. They're not hosting a primetime hearing on the baby formula shortage or the inflation or the skyrocketing gas prices. Those are issues that actually matter to the American people. What this committee is focused on is it's a partisan witch hunt going after Nancy Pelosi's political opponents, smearing Donald Trump supporters and voters across this country. And the American people are smart. They're going to see right through this and see that Democrats have absolutely no agenda for the issues that matter to them, whereas Republicans are talking about the issues that mattered. So I think we're going to see a political circus. There's a reason they hired the former president of ABC News, who was the producer that silenced Jeff Epstein's victims, because they're turning this into a Hollywood production rather than getting to work and focusing on the issues issues that impact Americans.
Well, Brett and Martha are going to anchor our coverage. You can see it on FoxNews.com, Fox Nation, and Fox Business. Congresswoman, thank you very much for joining us live.